Told you. I'm going to leave the introduction to Scummer.
Okay. But do you want to share my screen then? I'll let people know what's going on. By the way, I think you forgot to share the audio as well, the intro. Never mind.
Of course I did. It's nice and traditional.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Right. I'll just a second. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not on camera now, so okay, everybody. Welcome to welcome to Asterix and Noodle. Sorry, it's new name Hissy's going by, but I'm trying to get used to it. Welcome back to season 2 of Asterix. Unfortunately, right, I'm going to be doing this solo for a little while now. The reason we're running a little late is that Noodle was expecting a new fridge to turn up and be delivered, and they sort of said they'd be there like a little while ago. Then they didn't show, so he said, like, okay, let's just go live. And she predicted that the second we went live, they would turn up. And lo and behold, what happens? We go live, and as soon as we get here, their doorbell goes. Hey ho, one of life's little ironies, I guess. So let's see who's in the chat. We've got Hops is in the chat, Ring, Dave, I see you there. So this one is today is Asterix and the Great Divide. Now we started this as our sort of season 2 one, because this is the first book that was written solely by Albert Uderzo after Goscony's death. So now I got to say, like the last one we did, we couldn't get this on Kindle, so I'm just using a PDF sort of a PDF reader to do this today. So probably not going to be quite as clear on the screen. I don't know, but we've managed to find it. Oh, by the way, hello Sam. I see you're lurking there. But this is an interesting one, I think. This is some interesting little takes on things like the Cold War in here, and a lot of Shakespeare references as well, which we'll get into. So we will jump into this in a minute. But this is, yeah, the awful lot of Cold War satire in here. So I'll just jump into this solo for the time being now, and let me have to pull up my screen. First of all, can you guys see this? What's on the screen well at all? Because I've got a bit of an issue. If I make it much larger than this, it gets a little bit. I think that's about as much as I can realistically zoom in on this, but so I'm trying to keep this somewhat okay. So what we've got, what our story starts here is that somewhere in Gaul, this isn't our little village, but this is another little village, that peace would be reigning in this little village, but bit, like the one we're used to. However, for various particular incidents, a big ditch has been dug through the middle of the village so that no one can get from the right side to the left side. So you can see already quite clearly this is a bit of an allusion to the Berlin Wall here. Instead of a wall, there's a great big ditch. Now I love the two names we've got of the two chiefs. Cleverdix has been elected chief of the left of the village, and he says, never mind what the other lot say, I've been unanimously elected village chief. Majestix has been elected chief of the right side of the village, monarch of half he surveys by divine right. So yep, some good little political references there straight away with this. But So, although various attempts have been made to deal with the situation, the villagers on the left and the right are ever, so they still they're a bit antagonistic to these two doors here. I don't know if these two doors are supposed to be Checkpoint Charlie or something. I don't know, but
Hello.
you back? Hey, we back?
Hey, yes, we're back, and Noodle now has a fridge. It's big.
Yay! I was just telling people that you said literally the minute we go live, they will ring the bell, and that is actually what happened.
I could not have written that better if I'd scripted it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've just done a short little introduction. We're on the first page. Told people a bit about some of the Cold War undertones in this.
Oh yeah, very much so.
The ditch is very clearly the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, very clearly.
And the fact that you keep going on about the left and the right side of the village is going to become a bit of a thing in this as well.
I was so looking forward to having this discussion with you, Scummer.
I just
about the left and the right.
The two chieftains, or the guy on the left saying, "I've been unanimously elected chief," and the one on the right saying, "I rule by divine right." It's just
perfect, isn't it?
It's almost, it's that almost harks back to kind of like the English Civil War in a sense, isn't it? Like King Charles and then Cromwell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it harks back to the French Revolution as well.
Yeah.
So it's it is what it is.
So so I'm on the bit here where it says, see, this is not as much fun as Kindle. I've just got to say, just scrolling this, but it would. I love the fact here we got certain problems, like the well is in the village well is in the middle of the ditch and they can't get to the well.
Yeah, that's that joke, for anyone who's not aware, although I'm sure you all are, is literally that things like that happened. Like the border was drawn up the middle of streets, sometimes through the middle of houses, and like they had to go around the building and things because they were just. Artificial borders is they're artificial and they're always drawn by some numpty who can't point to the country on a map.
Well, let's just put it this way: anyone who studied colonialism, you might want to go and see why in a lot of Africa and certainly the Middle East, the borders are all straight lines.
Yeah, any country, if a country has a border that's a straight line, I assure you it's because a colonial power went in there, didn't speak the language, know the culture, or care about the people, and drew a damn line. That's what happened. This is one of my bugbears about colonialism. So, damn it, Jim, I am a historian.
I do like the one here that only the children are better off for the rift, and the fact that they're scrumping apples off of the tree there from their side to the.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Did you ever go scrumping as a kid? Maybe don't admit it, but
didn't everyone? I mean, to be honest, that's the least of the bits of bad behaviour I got up to as a kid. Obviously,
no, the law of the land is definitely that apple trees are fair game for anyone under the age of about 14.
Yep. So. And of course, what we were saying to, what you were alluding to.
Yeah, this one's fantastic.
About borders going straight through people's houses and stuff.
I love the names of the chiefs here, Clever Dicks and Majestics.
Yeah. Clever Dicks' hut here. Look here, Father. This can't go on. This ditch is dividing us. It's a disgrace to the village. Is that my fault? Histrionics, my boy. That traitor Majestics is sank to bribing some of the voters. Isn't this so bloody topical right now?
It really is, isn't it? Also, I will point out, I am loving this new style for this one. I don't know if it continues in the rest of them, but of all the writing being in block capitals, it's so much easier to read.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Hopswatch is saying Majestics is actually the name of vital statistics in the Danish translation.
Huh. Interesting. I'd be interested to know what Majestic's name is in the Danish translation then for this one.
Yeah, he said he's having to look up the name. Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, I did know obviously that there's different names for some of the characters in different translations. Some of them they do interestingly are quite good and punny in like other languages as well. So I like that, and I love this. He has this henchman, the unspeakable Codfix, who's had the nerve to get votes from the villagers who were only babies in arms. My God, I know he's supposed to be the guy on the left here, but doesn't he sound like Donald Trump right now? He's even got orange hair.
Yeah, I do think they're trying. The idea of him making a speech at the barrier is very.
Yeah. You could just see them. We're gonna dig a ditch. It's gonna be the best ditch. We're gonna keep all the people from the left of the village out.
Honestly, I think Ring's got competition for that impression right there.
I don't know, but there's no collusion.
Oh God, don't get me started.
This is amazing. Sometimes when we do these, they're just amazingly well timed, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's just clearly not the gods of timing and fridge deliveries, but someone's smiling down on us.
Well, I love this, but so this for future generations of ghouls aren't going to think much of their ancestors.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry. I'm just saying this is not easy to scroll as Kindle. Kindle's so much easier than this. So, God damn it, Amazon, put the rest of these up on blooming available. Make the rest of these available on Kindle.
Yeah.
But I do dread the day that we run into one that's not on Kindle or anywhere on the internet. I do dread that.
I'll just
we'll worry about
that one.
We'll worry about that when we get to it anyway.
Yeah.
Says, can you suggest anything? He says, I've decided to make a speech to the village opposite that will bridge the gap. They'll soon see that how wrong they were to ditch. And then, okay, in Chief Majestics' hut, you got the daughter here. Oh, Father, do you remember how happy the village was when we only had one chief? How truistics. And yeah, the old so and so. Oh yes, I do. The old so and so took his cover. So they look related, these two, because they look very. They both.
Yeah, they almost look like a Kaiser and a king, don't they?
Mm. And this, and again, he's like, this is all. And look, this is all clever. He stole votes which were rightfully mine. Oh my God, this is so. He even promised to bring down inflation, and those idiots fell for it and went up like a balloon.
Well, do you want to make the reference to the song, or should I?
You can do it.
I'm sure we've all heard the song 99 Red Balloons, which quite obviously a little bit of a pun going on with that. But that was something completely, well, it was Cold War related. What it wasn't was anything to do with the economy. The song is based around a story. Was it a true story? I can't remember.
I have no idea.
It's one of those stories that you'd believe it was true if you heard it. And the song's basically the story of a bunch of kids letting off balloons, and height of the Cold War. The Air Force or the monitoring services at the time who were looking out for nuclear attack, genuinely thinking this was some kind of bomb coming at them.
We also
check it out. It won Eurovision one year.
as I say, and now you got the thing here. This is the snaky little advisor here, Codfix, and he's even drawn us a bit of a, you know. And I love the name of the daughter here. Melodrama is not right. We need a single cheat to lead the village. Let them know who's the rightful. And he's like, but he's clearly saying, but you're the rightful chief. So you right. And then soon afterwards, you got the two of them facing off here, yelling across at one another.
Of course.
And I love that, brothers, we are hovering over the brink of disaster, but the party of the left offers full employment, maximum productive potential for all workers, shield bearers included. Don't you listen to Majestics, he click the very wings from your helmet. So workers of the village. So you can see who's the left winger here.
Yeah.
It's got referencing marks here.
Yeah, definitely.
Across the Great Divide.
Popular opinion has replied in the only fitting way to the lying insinuations of the double-dealing clever dicks. With his brinkmanship, he'd happily sacrifice the good of the village to the interests of Rome, spouting hot air on behalf of the Roman Geezer. Asterix Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to reference Caesar, friends, Gauls, countrymen, let us throw in our lot together.
Yeah.
So this isn't going well at all. Oh my word.
Oh, luckily the Cold War never got this hot.
You know, like this, you got two entrances here to the village, and they're going outside. So
stuck out at each other.
Yeah, come on, lads! I'm relying on you showing the party of the left is on the right of it.
Come on, men! Let them see the party of the right isn't going to be left at the post.
This is so funny.
It's fantastic. You have to really understand Cold War politics to get some of this, but I assure you it is funny. So definitely pick up a book on the Cold War and then go back and read it if you don't get some of these jokes. Yeah, Codifix does have a bit of the whole Taliban look about him going on, doesn't he?
He's got a very sort of Taliban. He's drawn as a bit of a snaky sort of character, isn't he? You know. Nothing's of course nothing's really sorted out. They're saying well done, you know, blah blah blah. But nothing's really been achieved by this, of course.
Yeah, of course not.
So they go back. Meanwhile, another, you know, in the other our little village, peace is reigning as well as it always does. I
love this fourth wall break. This fourth wall break is amazing. Peace is reigning in another little village, a village we all know well. And Obelix, look, if peace is reigning in our little village, the village they all know well, that means the Romans are sulking, Asterix. I love it. It's a perfect little fourth wall break. That's how you do meta humor, folks.
And of course, I love this. I love the fact now that they put the shield on, so they're dragging him around on this.
He said, okay, so there's a story I heard. What happened was during the Cold War, and because it's vaguely relevant to the topic, I'll share it. There's a story I heard that apparently they invited the newspapers into the USSR into a factory. And this is going way back. This is going back to the 50s when Stalin was still alive. And he visited this factory. And he was promised that, you know, they were making X number of tractors a day because they were going towards collectivization. And turned out most of these tractors didn't have engines in them and were being pushed by the workers through the factory.
Yeah, I have heard that story. I don't know if it's true or not, but
I was told it in a history lesson, so I've got to take it on good faith.
Yeah.
My Cold War history teacher was fairly good on the topic. So it does sound, it sounds a bit like a bad joke, but a lot of the Cold War was just a bad joke. That's what it sounded like.
It was, I mean, certainly on the Soviet Union side, that a lot of the time they did that they would inflate stuff, one, for their own propaganda. Trouble is, a lot of the sort of leaders of the Soviet Union did believe their own propaganda at times.
Yeah.
And people didn't always want to, but they were also like, they would also bluff. I mean, like Khrushchev was notorious for bluffing to the West about how strong his nuclear arsenal was, and it really wasn't anywhere near as strong as he was bragging. But I think, you know, Khrushchev was he was. I suppose I don't know who I could compare him to nowadays. I mean, because I would have said Kim Jong-un, but I think that's a bit unfair on Khrushchev, because but only in the sense, I think only in the same sense, I don't think Kim Jong-un is quite as mad as he makes out it to be. That a lot of his threats and that are bravado and bluff for propaganda and to make it look like he's tougher than he really is.
I mean, there's the famous story. Was it Khrushchev who went to China and got into the diplomatic row?
Oh yeah,
mistranslation.
Yeah, mistranslation. He referred to Mao as an old boot, and I think the translation
translate it to old prostitute,
old whore. I think it was, yes, and
but that entire visit was just a comedy of errors, because they met him in an airport. He didn't have a proper reception. And then, because they found out Khrushchev couldn't swim, they held a meeting in a swimming pool and gave him armbands. The whole thing, the Cold War was literally a pissing contest between really just pranksters, but on a worldwide scale, and it was everyone's lives on the line if something went wrong.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I love the. I mean, even if you look to this, he goes on about the cart he's on. It's a new idea. It means these clumsy great oafs can't let me down anymore whenever the fancy takes them. Right, you two, stand up, trusting. Off we go shopping, and they pull it, and what happens?
Hits a
stone, and he goes up, and well, and he can't shop for us now. Get new shield bearers, and I love the fact that no, we shield bearers operate a closed shop. Love that.
Yeah, that's another union joke for those who aren't aware.
Yeah.
The idea of a closed shop is you've got to be in the union to work for a particular job. Now that has positives and negatives.
Yeah, I mean, even as big of a trade unionist as I am, I have issues with closed shop because of I think for starters, I think it led to some very, very lazy union officials.
Yeah, not only that as well, with closed shops, you had to be working there to join the union, but you had to be in the union to get past the interview stage.
Basically, yeah, it was mandatory to join the union. It was, and even though I am a definite believer that I would say that every worker should join a union, I absolutely believe that. But at the same time, when you force people to do it, I think you end up. The problem is, I think you ended up with an awful lot of very, very lazy trade union bureaucrats who knew they didn't have to really try too hard on behalf of their members.
Yeah, because they knew if something happened, they just go to the membership and vote for a strike, and so they didn't have to really have a conversation.
No. So so in that respect, there was pros and cons to the closed shop, but and even I, as left wing as I am, as I say, there was issues with closed shop policies, which I mean legally we're not allowed to do anymore anyway. Certainly in the UK, but
not allowed to.
So vital unhygienics has a little joke at vital statistics, and then they always seems to end up and fish get thrown, and you know what happens. Well, it always seems to revolve around the fish, doesn't it? In this, getting thrown around. Geriatrics gets one. Sorry, I am skipping a few little bits here, but
yeah. No, I think we're all right for time. Scummer,
yeah.
Right. Even to the point where Obelix is saying these goals are crazy.
Yeah, and then he gets a fish in the face, and you know what's about to happen. And here we are, peace is reigning in the village. They do like a good little scrap amongst themselves. I'll say that much.
They do, don't they?
And then dinner's ready, and they all stop.
That's a very. I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere about the old sort of pre-Second World War British Army.
Yeah.
And
why don't we carry on later? To help our dinner go down. I like that. All right. Now, meanwhile, in the divided village, and just what good did that punch up do? Absolutely nothing. It only widened the rift.
Sorry, that Latin joke is painful.
I haven't got to it yet, actually, but I love that. But he's like, you don't understand. He's telling you don't understand the first thing about politics and the art of warfare, my girl. Go up to your room and leave us alone. So hear that, soon she'll be joining classical women's libs, speaking to them off the cuff. Yeah.
That is painful. That is a pun worthy of Ring. That's terrible, and I know Ring's in the chat, but wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bad it's good, but wow.
So he's trying to figure out what to do now. Now that this is the Codfix, says, I'd like to make a new offer. And he said, give me your daughter's hand in marriage, and I'll come up to the answer to all your problems. He says, oh yes, what's that? The Roman army. And
so this is very apt for the Cold War, this entire discussion that goes on here.
Yeah.
The Cold War was known. The reason it's called the Cold War is because technically there was never out and out war between the two main sides. Yeah. However, there were proxy wars. Korea, Vietnam, technically Afghanistan, although
yeah, Afghanistan definitely. Afghanistan definitely would count.
And we mean Russia in Afghanistan, not America in Afghanistan in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Although, judging by the fact that the foreign policy of both the two major powers has changed very little since the Cold War, you'd think they were still at it. But essentially what would happen is, as we see, and if any of this is ringing a bell from modern news and the way the news runs now, it's supposed to. This is the point. One big power would find a group within a country and arm them because they were politically aligned. Let's say they were capitalists. And the other ones would come along and say, we're socialists or we're Marxists. And the other big power would then fund them. Then these two sides would battle in their own country over it. Now, that should be ringing alarm bells for anyone who pays any attention to the news. It doesn't have to be that political ideology. It can be religious ideology. It can be any two different ideologies can happen and do that.
It's it's classic imperialism in a sense, really. It was but I like the fact that now he says, don't you think this is going a bit far? What for a start, why would they come to my aid, And it's like, I can, bring influence to bear on the garrison of the nearest fortified camp. Leave it to me. And now he's not keen on having the Romans mixed up in this, but he's sort of saying they are the answer to the problem.
I'm going to say I've just understood the reference of why he's drawn the way he is, and
Sorry.
I'm going to say 3 words. And then I'm going to leave it there because if I get started on this while my brain's running this idea, I'm not going to stop. But he's a yellow man.
Yeah, okay.
So let's just leave
Yeah.
that there, because that entire thing started because of French imperialism. So let's just not go there.
Yeah. So
anyway,
he's made it very clear to him, though. He says, all right, I made a deal with him. Okay, he says, but you're not. So I put myself in your position, but you're not marrying my daughter until I am the only chief in the village. So, yeah. Who is it? Sam saying he looks a bit like Caliban. He's kind of acting a bit like that as well, isn't he?
Well, the thing is with Caliban was designed to be a monstrous character within the Tempest.
Yeah.
A lot of academic articles going back at least a decade talking about how a lot of the imagery of Caliban is very
yeah. Anyone by the way, anyone wants a good bit of political comedy show to watch from many years ago. It's Rob Newman's From Caliban to Taliban. It's called 500 Years of Humanitarian Intervention. So it can really gets into a lot of what we've been talking about already.
Yeah.
So because there's a bit of a backstory behind Shakespeare's writing of The Tempest as well. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of backstory, and a lot of it's based on because don't forget Shakespeare was contemporary of sort of as Europeans were beginning to find other continents, other peoples, and the othering is very obvious in The Tempest. There's several academic plots that claim that Shakespeare's Caliban is very similar to the kind of thing we see on the pirates in these books.
Yeah. The daughter here is listening at the floorboards to what's going on down there, and says, she said, "I want you to go and see Histrionics. Tell him what's something going up. Ask him to meet me on my balcony tonight and hurry up." So night is falling over the. I love the name Time for Bed Schizophrenics. It's the name of the house. Now, okay, we've talked about Shakespeare.
Yes, this is definitely very Shakespearean.
Yeah.
This is definitely a Romeo and Juliet. Look here.
Yeah. So they basically the daughter, so the son and the daughter of the two rival chieftains are quite clearly, an item.
Yeah, and obviously quite famously, histrionics. Histrionics, wherefore art thou, histrionics?
Yep. Which we go. Yep. So very clearly now. He gets the alarm raised on him, but he escapes. And now he's shouting at his daughter like treachery under my own roof, and he's like, and she's chastising him now for doing a deal with the Romans. Well, shut up, you ungrateful child! I'm going to lock you in your room and don't come out until the day you marry Godfix. And where was I? She says, I never will. I'd rather be a virgin serving Vesta my whole life. Do you want to explain that reference?
Yeah, because that explanation in the corners not great. Vesta was the goddess of the. Famously, there were the Vestal Virgins in Rome, which most people are aware of. They worshipped Vesta. And Vesta essentially saw to the protection of the whole of Rome, goddess of the hearth, the home, and the family. So very important. We're talking about a goddess basically second only to Jove in importance and Jove obviously is the Roman equivalent to, well, not obviously, but is the Roman equivalent to Zeus. So the head of the pantheon, if you like. And all the goddesses, all the priestesses were virgins. They were usually chosen when they were about 6 or 7 years old and were raised into this. It was considered a massive honour to be chosen. They were usually chosen from sort of the upper classes of Roman society, like almost, without. And this fit what most people know about the Vestal Virgins. Is this focus on virginity. The idea was they would serve for 30 years, and after 30 years they could either stay in the priestess, or they could go off and get married and live their lives. Now, given the average age of a Roman woman, a lot of them stayed on.
It was pretty much a lifetime commitment, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they didn't really get much choice in the matter, to be honest. On an individual basis, the parents pretty much. I mean, do you think those shows about kids being pushed to do dance schools or whatever have got helicopter parents in them? Wow. But a lot of parents wanted it for their daughters because it saved them having to pay a dowry. And it was considered, something very important. The story everyone's heard, which I'm sure everyone's wondering about. Yes, there was a Vestal Virgin who got caught not being a virgin and was buried alive. Yes, that happened.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
Because the rule with Vestal Virgins is because they are so highly respected and needed for the Roman Empire, like they tend the flame of Rome. They tended the flame of Rome, and it was always said that as long as that flame burned, the empire wouldn't fall. As long as a true Vestal Virgin tended that flame. And so you physically weren't allowed to harm them. They were untouchable. They were literally untouchable.
Yeah.
And so the only way to execute her was to bury her in a hole and cover it up. And they had to, because she'd literally... It sounds horrible, but she'd committed treason. That's essentially what she'd done. She'd broken her vow. And her vow was essentially what the strength of the Roman Empire stood on, or the Roman kingdom, I think, at the time stood on.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a modern day equivalent.
There isn't really. I don't think there is. Really, I mean, there is not one I can honestly think of.
The closest thing I could think of would be possibly we're on the level of when Henry VIII got himself excommunicated and it sent shockwaves through the Catholic world. We're talking on that level of spiritual, like...
It's something I think... unless
it cause issues.
I mean, unless it was like... it would probably only make sense in a nation that's a theocracy, really, to understand this. It's the only way to really understand this, I think.
Yeah, this is not something that you can really put on a secular... There's nothing on a secular level that's like that.
Yeah.
Even in sort of modern theocracies as they stand, I couldn't think of the equivalent. Like a Vestal Virgin breaking her vow would be worse than like the crown princess going off and getting pregnant to a commoner or something.
Yeah.
It's so deeply ingrained in the Roman psyche by the time that happens that literally they were scared Rome was going to fall if they didn't do something about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's not a bad... Yeah. It would be like if, say, America said, okay, someone in the Supreme Court, if they broke some kind of vow, the Constitution would literally catch fire all on its own, and the White House would collapse. That's the kind of level of superstition we're talking about.
Yep. So now if we go on a little bit here, now obviously Codfix tries to ingratiate himself here with melodrama, doesn't go too well, but meanwhile Histrionics lets his father know what's happening, that they're planning to get the Romans involved. So he says he sends him on and just says, I want you to go in search of my old comrade in arms at Vital Statistics. He and I fought together at Jagovia, which we've explained that before. Jagovia, that's Julius Caesar's only defeat on battle that I'm aware of.
Yeah, this is it's quite obvious that, and this has been done in previous Asterix books as well, where the magic potion has been almost an illusion for a nuclear weapon of some sort.
Yeah. And he says he's the chief of an Moroccan village, thanks to Gedifix's magic. Yep. So this is the it's the arms race here in effect going on as well.
Yeah, this is
yeah, and he's looking at the smoke and what comes up from chimneys. Look at how that forms.
Mm.
A few days later, he finds
this. I'm sorry. This is a fantastic. Okay, throughout the Cold War, we're talking 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. The countries involved, and I am going to say it outright, America liked to claim that it was a bastion of peace and democracy and everything else. We know that's not true, because while all that was going on, America was having a civil rights movement.
Mm.
But this idea that everyone thought that they were this bastion of, peace and love and, the hippie movement.
Yeah.
Yes, but also no. Because no. But the Russians did the same thing. The Russians did exactly the same thing, claiming peace and harmony, but they were getting, strikes all over the USSR, and obviously the USSR was brought down by a strike. That's how it started.
Yeah, I mean, there was. I mean, this is why. I mean, this is I always remember that back in just the time when Russian coal miners went on strike right before the fall of the USSR, and on the Independent on Sunday, the historian Eric Hobsbawm was interviewed and said, and then we asked him, it looks as if the workers are, are turning on the workers' state, and Hobsbawm said, well, obviously it wasn't a workers' state, and it never was. Which does actually beg the question when we talk about Eric Hobsbawm, why he told everybody lies for 50 years if he knew it wasn't a workers' state. But
well, the thing about Eric Hobsbawm is he's written a lot of university level texts. He was on most of my reading lists.
Yeah.
He does have a very he was the old guru. As if he's left wing, but he's also very careful about what he puts in his writing.
Oh, he was a tanky. He was a tanky out, and he was an out and out tanky. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, he was the guru of the British Communist Party for like 50 years.
Yeah. So. Which is kind of the thing about Hobsbawm is he's a great historian, a great Marxist historian, but as with all historians, make sure you understand the school of history they belong to, and you understand the historiography of where they are coming from. Because if you don't understand where they're coming from, you will be blindsided by something they didn't bother to tell you because it's not relevant to their point of view. And I say that about all historians, including me. Everyone has their own biases. It's just how it is.
It is what it is, yeah. And Yeah, this is the peace and harmony we're talking about. They're having a big fight over, guess what? The fish.
The fish, of course, the fish. And of course, there's a big fight going on at the moment over fish, but it's not quite as friendly as this one.
I like this one. I like Getafix's comment here. This goes on much longer, Asterix. They'll be discovering nuclear fission. Very cold. So you can see how cold. You can see this is just Cold War jokes here.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where Vital Statistics is? Oh, he's on his way. So
I can feel it coming on. I'm going to crack up. This is it. I'm cracking up.
Stop. That's an order. Yep. So he goes through and explains the problem of what's happening in their village. But he says, well, and Vital Statistics says, well, you know,
that line from Vital Statistics isn't even subtle.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was getting at when I pointed out, you know.
But I love this. But since the Romans look like getting mixed up in your affairs, I don't see why I shouldn't lend my old comrade at arms, Clever Dicks, a hand.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the alliances, especially throughout the Cold War, were made on the basis of individual friendships. It's why you can, particularly with American foreign policy at the time, you have to take each president separately, and there's very little continuity.
Yeah.
Because who the president was literally made or broke what relations were like during that time.
It didn't even necessarily mean that they'd had to be like good friends either. Like with people, I mean, sometimes it was just the fact that one of the reasons why Nixon was able to get away with doing a deal with Mao was the fact that Nixon's reputation had been so long as a blooming, staunch right. He was such a right-wing anti-communist that he could get away with that and not be, and no one could possibly accuse him of being like none of his own base could accuse him of being like soft on communism.
Yeah,
and because of obviously the nature of the relationship between the USSR and China, they were not on. They might have both been communists, but they were not on good terms.
It was a three-way war. It was like in the old cowboy films where everyone's got two guns and they're pointing one at each other person.
Yeah. And he said it was funny that because they were burning effigies of Nixon in 1 week in China, and now suddenly, he's our friend.
Yeah, well, this is why Vietnam happened, because Kennedy and subsequently Johnson, although Johnson was kind of yanked into it through no fault of his own, couldn't be seen to be soft on communism.
Yeah, Johnson did escalate it, I would say that. But
he did escalate it, but the escalation he approved was a week after Kennedy had it written first. It
was inherited. Yeah. And it's because it's kind of ironic that people got this misconception about Kennedy being some sort of peacemaker type.
No, he's not. No. Listen, the last American president who had genuinely the opportunity to stop the Vietnam War happening was Eisenhower.
Yeah.
I wrote an entire essay on this as an undergrad. Believe me, I feel strongly about it.
Yeah.
And that because it's by the time you get past Eisenhower, the pressure not to be soft on communism is too much, and the presidents don't have the backbone to do it, and that includes Kennedy. Kennedy was not. He's essentially. I think he's the closest thing America has to a saint.
Yeah,
national matter because he was killed in office.
Yeah, I think let's put it this way. I think his legacy, had he lived, his legacy would be very different. And the way he's spoken about by I find it's weird because you look at the way Johnson. I mean, like Lyndon Johnson is most remembered for the Vietnam War. Yeah, he's also the guy that did actually get a lot of pretty progressive legislation through. I mean.
Johnson was supposed to be a domestic president. He wasn't an international relations specialist.
Yeah.
Johnson was very good on domestic issues. So was, Clinton-ish. He was a bit more Blairite, but
I mean, but yeah, I mean, you
was
know,
a bit more Clintonish.
I mean, you know,
But
Johnson did sort of introduce social welfare programs. He
he
did
did, and then
he did
Nixon
get
came along and
he did get
reversed
you know, civil rights issues through, and he you know, he did. Johnson also went after the Ku Klux Klan with a vengeance.
He went after them with a vengeance. And the thing is, as well, I'm going to say it, America, you elected the wrong Kennedy. Bobby was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Kennedy was the reason Jack was so progressive. He was slowly pulling his brother into a more progressive position as that presidency went on. We have evidence of this. Bobby Kennedy was the true progressive of the two of them.
Oh yeah, I mean John Kennedy.
Never allow him to even.
John Kennedy was a centrist at best.
Yeah.
Maybe more centre right, I'd have said, but
yeah, more centre right than anything else. But Bobby Kennedy was, for America, in American terms, a true progressive.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back to this. So they do they've agreed the Romans around here are quiet. So Gedifix decides he's going to join the expedition, which is obvious which three are going here, isn't it? You know, Asterix, Obelix, and Gedifix. Now, meanwhile, this is a Roman camp near the divided village. I like it. I'll swap you 2 sentry duties for 1 laundry fatigue. Nothing doing. You already owe me 3 cookhouse fatigues and 2 latrine fatigues. Look, back at the recruitment office, they told us we'd get beautiful slave girls and from all the countries we conquered. So back in Rome, Caesar said he was counting on us to clean up the barbarians. What bunch of, basically, join up to man's life, they said,
Yeah, join the army, they said. See the world, they said.
Yeah.
What was that great advertising campaign? Join the parody of the advertising campaign. Join the army, go to interesting places, meet interesting people, and shoot them.
I remember that one. What's the film Full Metal Jacket? Where he says that I wanted to see, make me, interesting people from all over the world, and then kill them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Full Metal Jacket job. That's based. I think there was in America, there was a recruitment drive that was go to interesting places, meet interesting people.
I like this. Now the centurion's there. He's moaning to his decurion. This tent is a pigsty, and the cooking in the camp is going from bad to worse. I notice the cookhouse is revolting. So centurion, it's luminous. There's a mood of unrest in the men. Men want slaves to do the dirty work, but Caesar said we weren't to take slaves during the Roman peace. Right,
I'm going to say this. The level of misogyny in his comments is damn near perfectly accurate. I don't like it. Don't get me wrong, I don't like it, but it's bloody accurate.
Yeah.
And the dismissive way they talk about the slaves.
Yeah, and
some households would have had rules where slaves literally weren't allowed to speak, seen and not heard, that kind of thing. And the idea of an ideal slave at the time would have been someone who was seen and not heard, who just did the job and piece of furniture.
Yeah.
So that way, which is why if you ever wanted spies in a Roman household, you bribed the slaves because they heard everything and no one thought to pay any attention to them whatsoever because they were just there.
Yeah. Now, of course, here we go. Comes the little Creek Codfix series. Who let you into the camp? But he's like, I've got the solution to your problems. And there's that the man on duty. He was quite happy when I offered him a slave in exchange.
Yeah. And again, currency, not thinking that these are people.
Yeah. How dare you corrupt my legionaries? And he's so.
I love this little comment here.
Which one?
I'm from Majestics, the rightful chief of the right side of the village. I'm his alter ego and right hand. And this is my left foot. Be off, or it'll alter your ego.
Yeah.
That's just such a British way of making a threat. I don't know why. It just is. It's very British. That's like, you know, that's your parents looking at you and saying, I'll give you something to cry about. That's what that is.
Yeah. So he's warning him to get out here. Oh dear, sorry. And it says, you help my chief Clever Dix and his men will be conquered, and you can make them your slaves. Your legionaries are very keen on having slaves. So that's all a load of cod. I've got other fish to fry. So there's obviously jokes about the codfish thing here.
Yeah.
But me, I love this. Look at this. Legionaries lib. No more chores. Restore our differentials. Give us slaves. Scrub those scrubbing brushes. That's an interesting strike demands.
Yeah, very. I don't know what they expected. It was the Roman army.
Yeah. So right, you promised me another slate. Wait a minute, you know. Go and tell your chief, or give him what he wants and explain it all to the legionaries. And he's like, this ho, my villainy knows no bounds, and I'm not free yet. Because when I'm married to beautiful melodrama, it'd be easy enough for me to depose that fool Majestics and become chief of the village myself.
I reiterate, the way he's drawn is not an accident.
No.
Had I realised that beforehand, we would have probably been a bit more careful about showing him so much. But
I didn't know. Yeah, I don't. I actually, you. This is a reference. You know that I don't. So.
Well, as Ring put it earlier in the chat, where is it? There's a lot of propaganda in America, particularly, about people from Southeast Asia.
Okay. Yeah, I get that thing with like.
Yeah, 1940s Pacific propaganda.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. Apologies for that. I literally didn't twig on until I just looked at it as we were talking. But again, even with the Caliban references, it's not exactly.
It's not as obvious and blatant as perhaps some of the other things he's drawn in these books. I'd say that
it's not as blatant, and I think that makes it kind of. And the reason I'm saying this now is because that kind of makes it a bit more insidious. Because if I wrote my dissertation on the Vietnam War and I missed it.
Yeah, and I think it's. I mean, it's. I mean, normally I'd be inclined to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I do have to say, with the amount of things we've seen from Goscony and Adaptations in these books, it is a little difficult to give them charity at this point as well.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult. Oh no, that's just a Caliban reference. That's just a Shakespeare reference.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be able to give them. I like to generally give principle charity here, but it is a little bit difficult considering some of the things we've seen in this book already. In these books that do not stand up well today.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
And so anyway, they
there's a line You can say I'm reaching for it, but looking at it, especially in the context of what this story is actually about, I don't think it's a reach for me to have made that leap at all.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
So it's
okay. Now we
apologies for showing so much of it, but damage is done.
Okay. So they arrive at the village, and it seems peaceful enough. But then they see that look, there's the two sides here, left and that. You see, they're starting to see some of the problems. Obelix is doing his classic "these people are crazy" thing. And I knew I could count on my old friend Vital statistics and your magic potion. That will stop him in his tracks. Now, Getafix makes this thing very clear right from the beginning. And he says, I only dole out magic potion for fighting Romans, never for use in internal quarrels like with Gauls. It says, so that's a good. He's sort of saying, basically, I will make it for you if you're fighting the Romans. I'm not gonna. That's why we're here, sort of thing.
Yeah, and he's got a point, but again, it does still feed into the Cold War themes. And there is one bit.
It does actually, because I can go back to China here a moment. This sounds a lot like the argument Mao had with Khrushchev over nuclear weapons.
It does, yeah.
Because Mao wanted nuclear weapons, and Khrushchev was like, "You don't need them. We have them. We'll protect you." But no, I want it. I want.
If you can just scroll up for me, just to the top of this page a second, because there is one comment that was passed on this. That
where are we looking for?
That one there, top right.
Okay.
Don't you believe it? There's a slumbering volcano under those thatch roofs that could erupt into violence at any moment. That is the most succinct summary of the Cold War I've ever come across.
Yeah.
It's also a little bit of a nod to mutually assured destruction. If a volcano goes off in that, they're all dead. And definitely by this point of the Cold War, when this book's been written,
Well, I think that when the time this was written would have been more the sort of, should we say, détente kind of era. So when they were, the policy of détente was the sort of a thing, which
but let's be honest,
it hadn't quite got
because of mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, it was just more détente was very mild limits on weapons, really.
Yeah. So we will. So that's essentially what that is. They're basically saying they kept the peace because they didn't want everyone to die, and it's a bit like saying, let's not dig on a volcano because it'll kill us all. This is the least you should be doing.
Let's just say there's a reason. Mutually assured destruction. The initials are MAD.
Yeah. Obviously the other famous acronym to come out of the Cold War was the military industrial complex, which kind of related. Eisenhower may have decided to point that out, but until he was ready to leave office to do it. We ring half an hour courtesy of Ring, so thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ring, because I just realised we're not even halfway through this yet. So okay.
So here we go. Getafix has decided he's not giving them the potion.
Yeah. It said now the Romans are coming. The Romans are coming.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the village, the Romans are advancing towards the village. You can go and get melodramas, dowry ready, majestics.
Yep.
And so he calls all the men together, and they think they're off to the slave market in anticipation. No more fatigues, And Obelix, of course, he just wants to go out there and get them. It's like, no, not yet, not yet. You know, like this. Welcome
this
over.
is also quite the commentary on inviting foreign powers into your country to help you fight a war.
Yeah.
Quite the commentary. And I think we can safely say, don't do that. It won't end well for you. Ever.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, it does not it's usually the biggest mistake people make is but
big powers don't get into small wars unless they've got an interest in them.
Yeah.
The small print.
They'll want some, yeah.
You know, there are countries that invited powers into their lands during the Cold War who are still struggling to get rid of them now. So, you know, spheres of influence were a very important aspect of Cold War politics.
Yeah.
And spheres of influence were developed by countries essentially saying, yeah, come in, help us fight our war. And then the power never leaving.
And
kind of how that happened.
And you go to the next one, but line that says, no, we will, you know, Gauls will never be slaves. I shall be chief of everyone in the village without exception, and no one's going to be slaves. You don't go calling out the Roman army for nothing. Men grab this lot, and you know, and as Codfix said, it says that bloody fool Majestics, he's ruined everything, you know.
This is very Afghanistan 19, I'm going to say 83, 84.
I think 78 is when it started, I think.
Yeah, but I'm sort of getting towards the end of it when the Afghans started saying, well, you know, you've helped us out now, do one.
Yeah.
And yeah, that didn't go down well.
Yeah, well, so they've taken the so the Romans have taken Majestics as meant prisoners. You know, Father, Majestics really did act in a manner worthy of a chief. And even he has to say, all things considered, I must admit, he carried it off in style.
Well, also this entire plot is just give them a mutual enemy, which you know, does tend to work.
Yeah.
You unite a country by giving them an enemy. That's how that
happens. You know, Obelix is, let's get them. No, hold on. You don't want to put them in danger. And a little while longer, we've got to do something. Don't worry. We'll organise a campaign against the Romans and free our fellow villagers. I certainly agree. Majestics might be my opponent, but I don't want him using his sacrifice as an argument in the polls. Oh, for goodness sake. You know, it's still
all about the voting and the ideologies and the egos. And I think that the big thing you can say about all of this is 99.8% of it was egos.
Yeah. And now Asterix points out that actually the Romans in this particular camp don't know him, Obelix and Gedifex, unlike, you know, back. And so maybe we can, you know, if it's slaves they want, we'll apply for the job. We'll apply for the job as slaves, and we'll set the prisoners free. And he's like, oh, goody. Yeah, we're gonna get this.
Yeah,
see the Romans.
Yeah. This next one. Do you know the penalties for a slave's revolt? I'm sure everyone's heard of Spartacus.
Crucifixion. One cross.
And
take one cross over to the left.
Crucifixion, yes. One cross each.
One cross each, yeah.
Down the corridor on the left, one cross each. And And believe me, it was not all sunshine and singing from up there. There's a famous story about a crucifixion. A guy got crucified, and as he was being crucified, he was screaming the words, "I am a Roman."
Hey, PJ! So
Hey,
I just
PJ.
saw PJ's in the chat.
Hi, PJ. So yeah, he was screaming the words, "I am a Roman citizen." Now, what that meant was, technically, it was illegal to crucify a Roman citizen, but once he was up there, it didn't matter what he was. They weren't bringing him back down.
Of course, they he said you better stop and think unless you want the to make the lions in the Circus Maximus a square meal. But as I said, generally, yeah, slave results. If anyone knows about like the although I will say obviously don't take the Kirk Douglas film as literal history.
Yeah, sorry, I should have said that.
Or the or even that other TV series Spartacus, which was almost like trying to do it in the style of 300. I felt, but
let's just say it was gory, it was fast, and it was brutal, but it wasn't what you see in the films.
Well, let's put it this way. I think in the film, it ends with Spartacus being crucified, doesn't it? But I think most sources think Spartacus himself didn't actually survive the battle, but where it with Crassus at the end. So from what best we can tell, Spartacus didn't even survive that battle. So that whole I'm Spartacus thing, that's pure Hollywood fiction.
Yeah, that's pure fiction. But
it's really right. It was a brilliant scene. It was an absolutely brilliant piece of movie theatre, but it was just that. Just so
it is what it is.
Okay. So they go off to. So they go off to. Funny how these. Did you know what? And he's
Spartacus. We think he was killed on the battlefield at Salarius River, but the body was never found.
Yeah. See, there's obviously a lot of, because his name's Codfix. There's obviously a lot of him because he is drawn slightly like a fish as well, isn't he? And there's a lot of like he smells a fish kind of thing. Dogmatics has picked up. I just realised we haven't seen a lot of the doggo in this one, have we?
We haven't. No. I'm glad to see he's still there.
Yeah.
I will say as well, I am mildly concerned about the fish jokes with Codfix. Yeah. Again, it's literally as things are occurring to me and I'm making these connections, I'm saying it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I didn't pick up on it when I read through this, so it's and like I said, it may be innocent, but I think given what we've seen, I think it's difficult to give charity to Adderzo at this point. I think, with some of this stuff.
Sorry, that snicker from me was me reading this next page, just checking it. But yeah, the country that this character is seeming to be more and more a reference to is quite famous for its fishing as well.
Okay.
So it's one of those where it's subtle. It's a lot less subtle than Let's Draw the Pirates.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting reliance on the Caliban trope.
Oh, that reminds me, they do make an appearance later, don't they?
Yeah, it's in one panel. The Caliban trope of using Caliban, which most people would just take as a Shakespeare reference.
Yeah.
But using that and twisting it the way this is done, I can see why they've done it. Especially the way this character Codfix is playing off the two sides. There's definite undercurrents of, as Ring put it, Pacific propaganda in there.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, moving on.
Okay. Yep. So gets there to they come up to the camp. They said we're Gaulish slaves who want to be in the Roman we want to be serving the Roman army. So they're sort of offering themselves into slavery here. I'll keep this fat slave for myself. Bang. That wasn't
Yeah, that's an amusing little that's what I was snickering at when you were talking.
I may be a slave, but I am not fat. Oh, do you just expect me to take them seriously, Obelix? I can't. So Getafix has this own little elixir of his own here, a few drops so that just restore. It's like an instant healing thing. He won't even remember what happened, and see he gets up. Hulk, who goes, so he doesn't remember we're getting knocked out, but he's totally up there. I love this Obelix. Here we go again, but like now
a bit of Groundhog Day going on here.
Yeah, I love the now. Obviously, Codfix is kind of keeping an eye on this hit here. Wow, amazing! He's quite amazed with this thing the Druid's been able to do here.
Yeah,
and Obelix is he's about to. He said, "I'll keep this fat." Obelix, don't So sorry, we're Class 1 slaves. We can't serve the rank and file. And so Druid forgot about his flask. He must get hold of it. It might come in useful. Codfix bonks the legionary. Takes that elixir, that stuff for the healing stuff with him. New Gauls just arrived. Says, Roman, I and my friends have come to offer our culinary skills in your, name your dish and I can cook it to perfection. Just order the menu and see what happens.
Yeah, now it's the speech that Getafix gives here is fantastically funny on the next page in the panel.
Okay, the gods.
If you want to zoom in on this,
okay. As much as I can. Yep.
I will go like this.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, we can cook a good meal for all your men, Centurion. Feast of the century, as you might say. For starters, a fortifying soup, the meat course, a really nice cut, say chopped, stewed in your, and I mean it's in your own juice. And we won't make a hash of it. If you fancy poultry, we can cook your goose for you. Game for anything. Then grouse and quail. After that, you'll get your desserts, a full well beaten, perhaps some instant whip, and then a few raspberries washed down with all the Gaulish beer you can wallop it with. Packs quite a punch.
That is the best subtle biting the hand that feeds them insult threat monologue I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Okay. And I love that. I can hardly wait.
And then, of course, Obelix.
Boar.
Missed it.
Yeah. Obelix boar is all he's interested in, of course. I love the fact that he's chopping logs. Obelix just chops it in half with his hand.
Yeah. And he would do it with an entire tree, but Dogmatics wouldn't like it.
Yeah. That's so... Oh, yeah, because we remember Dogmatics, he's got a thing about trees.
Yeah.
Hissy, Noodle, I need to step out for just 2 secs. I don't know if because I'm sharing this, you won't be able to go on too much further, will you? But if
hang on, no, I've got it open on another page, so I can easily.
Okay, I just need to step out for 2 secs. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Just you keep it going. I'll come back. I'll come back in about 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
So then, what we have here, we have these two soldiers. Infectious virus. Always wash your hands, folks. Wear a mask. Knows about this druid through a cousin, and would the centurion like to taste it? And so the druid has. So Asterix is going to offer to taste some and give some to the prisoners too. Now, 3 guesses what has actually been brewed here. No, Obelix, not you. Of course not. Because what this is the magic potion. He has to stay on a strict diet for the good of his mental health. That's why, not him. Moving on. So here we go, feeding it to all the Gauls in there. And suddenly Obelix understands the menu when Asterix says the next course is the chop. And this wonderful fight scene going on here, which, as usual, very good at these big splash pages of fight scenes. The potion really has an uplifting effect. Yes, it usually makes people rise to the occasion. Try a bit of knuckle in the bread basket for a change. And enjoy your picnic al fresco, which, again, all puns, very well done. You can sit and stare at that for a little bit and see a lot of, the usual slapstick fighting comedy that we're used to in these books. And the Romans cannot deal with that druid's recipes. Gaulish cooking, they can scoff the lot of them. I don't see anything to scoff at. Shut up, they might want to carve us up some more, and then obviously Getafix and the captured Gauls meeting up finally. And of course, now we're seeing the other side of it, where Cleverdix was saying, oh, we have to send a rescue team in. And now Majestix is saying, oh, there's something to that guy. He's, and again, this is one of those where people have to start to see beyond the ideologies to make any progress in finding a peace. So this is an important first step in this panel here. But someone's going to be having words with Codfix. And again, I don't want to flog a dead horse with this, but that is really, it's disconcerting that it's been done in that way. I think if it'd been drawn differently, I could have lived with it, but not so much. And off they go. Anyway, out of the camp, Holt slaves are not allowed to leave the camp. Well, and again, you're a fat lot of good. And of course, Obelix does not like the word fat. And he's just nicely covered, that's all. And as Asterix says, but very thin-skinned.
Are you sharing? Oh, I'm back. Are you sharing your screen now, or not? Is it still on mine?
No, I'm sharing mine.
Okay, what page are you on, so I can catch up?
Page 26.
Okay. So we've had the punch up then.
Yeah. We've had the
Okay,
punch
sorry,
up.
I had this a similar thing to you. Something turned up at so.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
One of those days today, I think.
Yep. Okay.
And then Majestix returns home to his daughter.
Melodrama, my dear child.
Yes, all very melodramatic. And
said it was all, it was all Codfix who caused the problem here. He disappeared when you left. We'll be looking pretty around the gills when I find him. And yeah,
fishing in troubled waters. Don't want him turning the scales. Lots of fish puns.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says, our own quarrel isn't settled yet. You know that, you rotten old fraud. It certainly isn't. And this, it's like, be a fair fight, you rotten old opportunist. And,
And again, is isolationism in effect what Asterix is talking about here.
Yeah.
All right, this is your because for those who are not aware, yes, the Berlin Wall went through Germany and Berlin.
Yeah.
But also there was a border around.
Around the city, because Berlin, Berlin's was a weird thing, just in case. I mean, I think most of the people who watch this are old enough to remember, actually, but in case we have anyone who isn't familiar with that time period yet, obviously Berlin was slap bang in the middle of East Germany, but the western half of the city was still sort of under West German, or sort of initially to say Allied influence, but it was the western half was considered part of West Germany, I suppose, and then there was always a because there was always a lot of aggro at times with getting supply. Whenever the Soviet Union, like Stalin, for example, tried to get the entire city under his influence by cutting off all the roads and stuff, and they did the famous Berlin airlifts into
the Berlin blockade.
And there was the famous airlift that kept the city going.
Yeah, that brought it down. Yeah, eventually. But to just put it into perspective for a lot of people, it would be like, honestly, I think the closest equivalent to the position Berlin was in, it was essentially a semi-sovereign city within another sovereign state. And the only equivalent I can think of to that is the Vatican. But of course, the Vatican and Italy are at peace. They're not at war. There's no tensions there.
Yeah.
And obviously,
the Vatican's a city within a city, so
yeah.
But
that's the only real it's smaller scale, but that's the only thing I can think of that's.
Do you ever go
to it? Sorry, Scummer?
Do you ever go to the Vatican at all?
I have been to the Vatican. Yeah, if you're going through the back entrance, you've got to show your passport. But if you walk up through St. Peter's Square, you can get, pretty much right.
Oh, yeah. That's why I went through St. Peter's. That's where I went to St. Peter's. Peter's asked, is there a movie based on this comic? Maybe. I'm not aware of it, if there is, but there a lot of the Asterix comics have had movies made of them, or they've combined two elements of stories from like a couple of books or something to make a story, to make a film. That's generally what's happened with film. Like 12 Tasks of Asterix isn't even a book, but it's taken a lot of elements. It's taken a few elements out of a book. But I would say that is a really funny movie, the 12 Tasks of Asterix. But the really the first, as far as Asterix films go, I'll just say there's there's a few of them that are good, and then there are a lot of them that are very mediocre. But the original Asterix de Gaulle was good. Asterix and Cleopatra is good. The 12 Tasks of Asterix is brilliant. Asterix in Britain is good. After that, they're a little bit meh, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them are. I mean, Asterix Conquers America, which is slightly based on the Great Crossing, and it's no less problematic, unfortunately. But it quite amazingly has Craig Charles voicing Asterix, and all people, I don't know why, they got Rick Mail voices Cacophonix.
Yeah.
People knew that, but
yeah. Well, we're using your screen now, so
okay. So where I'm on page 27. They're starting to argue again. Okay.
Yep. Argument's starting again now, and
now Godfix, he's helping the Romans. Because he's got that stuff from that Gedifix had, so the thing that brings you back to the elixir. Gets them up, sound the assembly. And right, we shall now forget this whole unfortunate episode and clear up this mess. I want the whole garrison all spruced up and Cena kindness dismissed. Latin for dog's dinner. I like that.
Yeah. That's not. I don't think that's actually Latin.
No.
As it said, it's dog Latin. Like pig Latin, but even less.
Yeah. Nice goblet of wine will help me forget more. And then, like, well, I'm feeling better, you know. And of course, it does something to their memory as well. So, I've come to warn you: the Gauls in the nearby village have broken the Pax Romana. They've bashed up your legionaries and ransacked the. He's like, that doesn't sound right. Okay. Just don't want to clear up the mess. So gets them all out. They're all reporting sick now.
Yes.
And those Gauls will find out what it means to break the Pax Romana. And they're all there. We go. Another demonstration. Fight war, not Gauls.
Yeah.
What?
Pillion power, no thanks. Pill and power, no thanks.
No. And so he pours the stuff. So he pours the old elixir in there to get them extra grog ration coming up. And of course they all drink that. Whoa, you know. And I still have no, idea who you are, but
this
all,
ration is. I think this is a First World War reference. The extra rum ration in the trenches, essentially.
Well, always known rum rations is more of a naval thing, but
yeah, naval. Yeah, sorry, not army.
I'm trying to remember. Now my mum would be the right person to ask about Black Top Day, because I think she was I'm pretty sure she was in the Women's Royal Navy service when that came in. That was the day when they stopped the daily rum ration.
Mm-hmm.
It was called. It was referred to in the Royal Navy as Black Top Day.
Yeah.
But because the Admiralty had their own special rum as well, that they distilled their own rum. However, you can still buy that rum. It's now called Pusser's rum. Company called Pusser's bought the recipe. Pusser's gunpowder proof is the old Royal Navy rum. So, hey, Pusser's, sponsor me in Noodle. Okay, we're giving you a free plug there. We're giving you a free
I'll
plug
get on
there.
the stream if they sponsor us, not a problem.
Yeah. Passes and Coke is good.
Yeah.
Hint, hint. Coke,
Hint,
Pepsi.
hint. Yes. So I do like the idea. Okay, so back in the Gaulish village now.
Yeah, magic potions getting ready. I like this schizophrenia's hut is neutral ground. It's bang in the middle of the village because it's right the one that the lines do.
Yeah, and this line, schizophrenic's never been able to decide which side he's on. There's actually there's also there's some quite sad stories of people's houses and lands being split over border disputes.
By the way, I don't know if you want to highlight Amiga Nuts' comment there.
Yeah, I did earlier. But
I did. Yeah, sorry, I'm sort of concentrating on like two screens at once here. So
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, they are all on YouTube. I think sometime myself and Noodle will try and organise some sort of a watch along with one of the movies or something to do something different. But
yeah,
we've got to figure out because it's really weird that they're all up on YouTube. But I guarantee the second we do a watch along, it will get a copyright hit. So because that's just that way the way the YouTube gods are fickle. The YouTube gods are fickle, as we know.
Yeah. Did you ever think of putting floorboards over the gap?
Yeah.
I'll do it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there we are. Nice in the centre there. I'll watch over the cauldron to make doubly short. And you better have this gourd, so he gives him a special gourd of the potion himself for Asterix. Now, on the outskirts of the village there at night, don't trust that druid and his secret weapons. I think that Codfix is going to be doing a bit of scouting here.
Yeah, he's clearly the traitorous spy archetype.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, they could have just drawn him like they did that Roman geezer. To be honest, remember the one who caused the Roman agent?
Yeah.
I still think they could have just called him Codfix and come up with a few fish puns anyway. But
yeah, they could have done and just changed the artwork on it.
I mean, I didn't get the reference, but there is something I'm sure there is something a little insidious underneath this, even.
Yeah,
even if I don't know what it is, I can kind of get the feeling there is something a little insidious behind this character now.
Yeah,
I think I do. I do get the Caliban kind of because there is the Shakespeare references in here with Tempest and obviously Romeo and Juliet. There's a reference in here as well, so kind of can maybe see that on that level that maybe.
Yeah.
But so he turns out that it's me, Codfix. Well, and he's there, so he's begging for forgiveness.
There's, and I'm not going to repeat the word, largely because I can't pronounce it, but also because it's a slur. That there's a Russian slurs about the prevalence of particular shapes of the eyes of people from Asian ethnic groups.
Okay.
And of course, there's very similar stuff about Japanese, Chinese, Southeast Asian in the English-speaking world.
Yeah.
The language that was used in the war in Vietnam to describe Vietnamese people, and it is unrelated but notable that the same word actually predating the Vietnam War meant was meant prostitute, or a low prostitute in a slang 1893. So
Okay. I think we should try and get past this bit as we can, because Asterix gets bonked on the head. Then he makes off with the potion, and
I mean, famously, John McCain used the slur in the 2000 presidential campaign.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to repeat it.
So,
which we're talking about.
He said, "Give him some of the elixir." Sorry, I left it near the Roman camp. Anyway, it'd be too dangerous to give it to Asterix. Anyone who drinks my elixir can't take the magic potion afterwards. The mixture has some strange effects. So, so bring him up there. Bring him about a magic potion or not. We can deal with the Romans. Spoken like the true son of a chief, from So he's got the magic potion. He's there for the Romans. So the Romans are going to be, going to take the potion. And then, Codfix gives them a demonstration uprooting the tree. Or your lucky dogmatics isn't about.
Yeah, very much so.
Everyone's had a bit of the potion now. So here we are, forward march.
I will say as well, just going back for the record, no, the underworld gods were not with Codfix. That's not the underworld deities in Roman religion, although I'm not entirely sure about Gaulish religion. In Roman religion, were very much attached to their honor.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Most still
honest to the point of tricky, yes, but always honest.
We must go out. So now, get a fix. I might just have some time to brew up some more, but then no, the Romans are here. We must go out to meet the Romans and fight them if we're to save the village. Obelix is like, oh, we'll be in for some fun. He says, well, the Romans have drunk the magic potion, Obelix. That means we have to handle them a bit more carefully. Don't worry, I'll handle them ever so carefully. So, come on, and now come on, men. And watchers seem to be swelling with pride. Now, look what's happening here. They seem to be blowing up like balloons here, the Romans. Yeah. Gedefix said something about strange side effects of having those two potions together.
Yeah, this is very Willy Wonka, isn't it?
Violet Beauregard, this is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like a combination of Violet Beauregard and the Bubbles Room.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah. This is a fun little. This is kind of, it's a nice bit of levity.
The Romans are going to give us some fun, as Gedefix points out about what's going to happen here. And they just go charging into them. Bang!
Bam! And like diving into a ball pit.
These Romans are really crazy. They're not at the circus now. And I love this. I love the, they got. Look at this one with dogmatics, though. Balancing him on his nose.
Yeah. So it kind of is a circus.
Yeah. So they start bouncing them about. Then now you see they're as they start slowly deflating again. Get them up now. Pick up your weapons. Get to battle stations. I'm an old soldier. I've been around this. I've never fought any terrain quite like this. And well, you think they're back to normal, but oops, they are a bit smaller than normal.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few Gulliver's references going on.
Yeah,
as well.
a hero Roman. We have Asterix standing right over them.
It's also Alice in Wonderland. Eat me, drink me.
Yeah.
You're the ones who shrunk. In future, you'll know better than to take a magic potion without a druid's prescription.
Yeah. And hurry up. I love the fact this is they got by mercy make it stop. Says, off you go back to your camp, Romans. Never mind. We'll find you in this neighborhood again. And
I love the giant dogmatics here.
I just love the fact, that you got Dogmat. He's still cute, even as a giant doggo, isn't he? He's still cute.
He's still just just puppy. Entirely post hoc, as Sam says, but it's Night at the Museum vibes. It's Gulliver, it's Alice in Wonderland, it's all of them kind of going on with this.
So now some Majestic is something we don't at the Romans. It's just a moment, my boy. Don't forget your father. I still have an argument to settle, and
this one, the top of page 41, this comment from
I'm still on, was it 38 here?
Okay. Are you?
No, yeah.
We must be looking at different versions.
Yeah, because I'm on.
Yeah. Scroll up. It's the comment from Get a Fix about starting it all off with a punch. Again, tiny things can just make
I see. I see. No, I see what the problem is. See, I'm reading my PDF screen on the pages, not the. Okay.
I'm reading the actual pages.
Yeah. Okay, that's what the confusion was. Okay. So they still now they find a Majestic's Codfix is kidnapped melodrama and left a roll of his parchment addressed to you. So they go back and there's this, if you want to see melodrama again, leave £100 in gold near the dolmen at the spring before the sunset.
That's Caliban.
Yeah. I mean, there is clearly Caliban references here. Yeah.
That's literally the plot. So yeah.
Villain. I'm really in a drum now. And okay, now I do have to remember. You might have to go ahead a little bit and remind me where it is in a minute, because I do know they're coming up. But
yeah, no, you're okay on this page.
So he's kidnapped. I know it's only one panel.
Yeah.
And I can even show most of it now. Okay, he's rowing off with her, and he runs into the pirates.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, let me just have a look.
It's just one panel that I'm aware of that is problematic, but
it is. But if you compare it to the older ones, it's not as bad. The lips are still there, but it's a lot less in your face.
I mean, we'll see how they progress with this stuff, but you want to hope they get a little bit better, but I don't know because I mean, we saw some of the Pixar stuff from just a few years ago, and it still wasn't great.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so straightforward. So he's a straightforward deal to suggest pirate.
Yeah.
Darn! I hate scrolling with this thing. Kidnapped Chief Majestic's daughter, and so I'm asking for ransom. So £50 of gold. Why don't you collect the guard? And so he said, okay, why not? It sounds fishy. Surely you're not going to share sort of slippery custard, but
it's right after he drinks the potion on the shoreline.
Okay, I'm trying to. Yeah. So. Yeah, as I said, I prefer having my Kindle to doing this. This isn't PDF readers. It is what it is today.
Yeah.
Kidnap Chief Majestic. So okay.
It's the bottom of this page. It's the next panel.
Okay, next panel. Okay. Oh yeah, I see him. Ghouls are coming. You know, no fit. Nothing. There is another one, I think, isn't there?
He's not particularly visible. No, we're all right. It's on the top of page 4.
They're breaking up my ship. The ship is just sinking. Yes, he's got Codfix, hook, line, and sinker. And effects of the magic potion worn off. You wouldn't hit it. Bang.
Yes, you would. Hello, flying fish.
Well, and he comes crashing down there in the Roman camp. Who are not, and they're not happy to see him, obviously. Oh, hold on.
Top of the next page.
Hold on. I just moved it there. It's slightly should be off the screen here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
So they get them back, and then.
Do you want to zoom out a bit so we can see the whole length of the panels?
That's about it. If I do it any more than that, it probably won't be visible. Sorry, didn't mean that on screen. So they're back with. Okay.
I've got it set up, and it matches the width of it. There.
Okay.
So
that's kind of what I've got, I think. Maybe.
Yeah. So we've got
now. Brave action, you know. So I'm extremely grateful. So they still got their little quarrel they got to settle here. Forget our difference. I feel for you. You know, they're back with me. You know, and. No, after all, this is history. He's the son of a chief. Son of a chief, my foot. I'm the only. And finally, the daughters are. We've had enough of this. You fight for chieftainship. Keep up between the two of you. So they do. They get them out. They're going to have a good old punch up here to settle this. And you'll need a neutral umpire to. And according to the, it'll go to sunrise tomorrow if the loser, and it goes on and on and on. They're having the bets are on, Vicky's on and on, and there's no clear winner.
Yeah, this is entirely.
And I love the fact that this evening comes and the audience is tiring of this, and I love the fact they'll have to revise the rules of these prize fights. So Queensberry rules, I don't know. Or even Obelix is getting tired of watching the fight,
Yeah. What was it here? It's late. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. They wrote and then so no clear winner between the two of them. Yeah. And fate has decided no one has won, no one has lost. But it says you can have a young, strong chief if you choose histrionics, and melodrama will make a wise and beautiful chief's wife. So there comes the solution that there's going to be the chief and the chief's wife here, and they're like, it says, "Oh well, I rather think we can all get dressed." So they kind of agree, best thing for it. And the back and forth bridge, I like that.
Yeah, in the original French, that was called the Peace Bridge.
Yeah.
And it was a reference to the Concorde Bridge in France.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure why the translation was put to that, but
that's probably a reference to the Forth Bridge in Scotland. That's probably why.
Yeah. The children can still gather the fruits of other people's labours with impunity.
Children scrumping apples, yeah.
Yeah. A new and practical use is found for the two gateways of the village. Here you see the first gateway system known to ancient history.
Schizophrenics' houses that was rebuilt, and the architects did slip up there as they did in their plans.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
And you got the two old guys. They're fishing. Wonder what happened to that scoundrel Codfix. I don't know.
This is where it becomes incredibly problematic when you think about the Caliban references and
he's ended up a slave basically to the Romans.
Slave to the Romans.
Yeah. Anyway. Wedding and melodrama and histrionics is celebrated, and wild boars for all. Everybody's.
Hey, their board gets to play it. Their bard gets to play it there.
Yeah. He's not cacophonics, that's why.
Cacophonics.
How can we ever thank you, one and all, for this? So,
yeah,
they're on their way. Obelix, he gets a bit like crying at wedding kind of things there. Loves a happy ending.
Yeah.
So they all, as they come back to the village, Obelix gets a fish in the face. So you know that what's been going on. But anyway, so there we go. We are
25th time under the starry sky, ruled by the god Tutatis, the people of Asterix village happily celebrate the return of their heroes with a traditional and indispensable banquet.
Yep. There we go.
And I do love these comments here. All that did really sound most improbable. Yes, it was so ridiculous. I dare say future generations will never believe a word of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scathing.
Right, I'm going to stop my. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop my screen there.
Yeah, that's a very
put myself
the whole Cold War, I think.
It is. So on reflection then, what do you reckon of this one?
I mean, it's a fun story. It has an important point that it's trying to make. And I do think it has a lot of important things to say about what the Cold War was and about the dangers of ego and political posturing. I also think I have serious issues with the depiction of Codfix in that, and I can only sincerely apologise that I didn't twig on to what was going on there until
I didn't either. So,
otherwise, I would have said right from the start we're not going to be showing it. But once we've shown it, the damage is done.
Yeah, to be honest, it was more because you wouldn't necessarily pick up on it because there was obviously clearly the Caliban references, wasn't there? There was a lot of Shakespeare references in here.
Yeah, and it was only when I really saw him in a panel with other characters that I realised that his colouring was off. Which is what made me put that together.
Yeah.
It did sour the entire story a little bit. Particularly in the context of French imperialism in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Which we cannot get away from the fact that the writer and artist is French.
Yeah.
And has a habit of being very... I do think, far be it from me to make any assumptions, but there is definitely an argument here for this artist being something of a French nationalist.
He does.
Nationalist with a small n, not like, but
yeah.
I'm not saying that they're a raving racist or anything. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
What I'm saying is this person is quite clearly probably is more a product of French propaganda than a perpetrator of it, but by being a product, they are perpetrating it as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the kindest conclusion I can come to about the artist.
Yeah.
The most understanding, I think, the most forgiving.
You don't. Yeah, but I mean, I enjoy. On the whole, I enjoyed the book. I said a lot. It was a bit. I like the Cold War references.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been able to really enjoy a story with Cold War references all over the shop.
Yeah.
and really sink deep into that, because the Cold War is so rife for comedy. The whole film was just comedy. It really was.
Okie doke. So we'd better get to wrapping this up, I think. As now, obviously, One Ring's got a stream coming up shortly.
Yeah. Going live in about 10 minutes. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, obviously my channel, as always, Godless Scummer. However, let me just copy and paste something. I'm going to copy and paste this into the side chat.
It's also
you may want to highlight this. I now have just today set up a Patreon. If anyone does want to support me, it should show up. It should show up in the chat in a minute. I've got to be honest with people. I only set it up this morning. I don't quite know everything what I'm going to do with this right now. But I hopefully I will plan to try and put some stuff out on there. But if anyone wants to support me, you know, they feel free to. It's but I'm not, you know, I'm not really expecting a massive of people. But anyone does want to support me on Patreon, they can do now.
Yes, you can also find the link, because it's not coming through on our chat, because our chat's majorly delayed. You can find the link in the description below. You can also find the link to my Redbubble page. So if you want any merch or any of my designs, feel free to have a look.
Well, that's strange. It's not even appeared in our It's not even appeared in our private chat, has it? In our comments, no. It's appeared. It is on. It is on screen. I can assure you. With it is in the YouTube chat. I can assure you. But it is also in the. Hissy has very kindly put in the description, or should I say Noodle or Hissy, or
whichever you prefer. We've had this conversation. You know this.
Yeah. I don't like to dead name people, you know.
It's a brand, and you know, it is what it is. It's only been a few days. I can live with it.
Yeah.
There is Hissy's Hideaway merch. You can get hashtag HissyFit on pretty much anything, including a mask, if you'd like. And I am always coming up with new ideas and things. You will see from my Redbubble, I'm also in the Hannibal fandom, so there's occasional Hannibal fan art going up there as well. So take a look, see what you think. If you like it, buy it and enjoy. With that, I think we're going to go to taglines in a minute, but do head on over to C-Ring in 10 minutes on his channel with Media Musings. We're discussing A Christmas Story, the 1983 film. And you
I have not seen that in. I'm not even sure I remember it. I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but I'm trying to. There's some things to do with gun control in it. I know that
it's the film about the little brat who wants a gun for Christmas.
This is ringing a bell now. I'm sure I've seen it, you know, but
yeah,
I'm sure I have seen it, but I.
So yep, thanks everyone for coming.
So, why is Ring's link appearing in the side in our it appeared I'll just say it's only in our StreamYards when I'm saying it's not appearing for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. StreamYard's chat's been misbehaving all stream.
Yeah.
Head on over to Ring for Media Musings and tagline, Scummer.
Don't really do taglines. Should just say salute and out.
Yep, and as always from me, take care, be good, and if you can't be good,